And the other contribution I want to do is related to an Elixir project we have here on Toggleplan. So I'm gonna jump to that one, and maybe if we get time, how much time is left? Yeah, we have a lot of time. Maybe we get back to those tests. If not, please do not be mad with me because I didn't do what I promised. I'm gonna jump first to the holidefs one, which is basically it's a holidefs is a library, Elixir library, but to get the holidays with like function calls like this, you just include the holidays, and like I want to get all holidays between this date and this date, and it's going to return you like this holidefs holiday structs with the name of the holiday, the date that they happen, and that's the idea of the library. So I recently did these pull requests on another live. You can watch the videos back then. Oh, you were talking there. So you started with Elixir randomly, learned Elixir 1 week and got the job. Cool. So you're working with Ruby because it does a lot of magic. Oh, right, you don't like it because it does too much magic. Yeah, I felt your pain. That's totally fair. I mean, like compared to Elixir, it's a lot more magic. Some people on the Elixir community actually don't like that Elixir and Phoenix, by the way, not Elixir, but Phoenix does a little bit of magic here and there. It's a lot less than Rails, right? But it still does. But yeah, that's one thing I love about Phoenix too. Like I don't like that much magic anymore. I was in love with that in the beginning, but when you start to get problems with that, you kind of hate it. Roger, are you using Vim to have multiple windows in terminal or something like Tmux? I'm using Tmux, so yeah, I split. I split Vim on multiple panels too because it's. I think it's useful. Like you can have the list of buffers also. I don't even know how to get the list of buffers, but anyway, you kind of use one Vim instance, but you use Tmux to actually split and open new tabs like this ones in here. And yeah, I normally do that on my day-to-day work also. So yeah, back to holidefs. So back then, before this pull request, holidefs was an application that started a process on startup. So it had this, where is it? Where's the mix file? Here on mix, you can set this mod, to actually say that, yeah, this is the module that should start this application. And on this module here, application, it's probably up there. Application here, yeah, the diff is pretty big. So on this project, I used to start this store, and this store was a gen server, actually an agent, right? This is the store. It was actually an agent that, when starting, it went through a list of definition locales and loaded these locales. So it all was stored in memory, but on a process, And I got this idea of actually, I don't need a process for that because these definitions here, they don't change at runtime. They only change at compile time. I mean, if I want to support a new locale, what I have to do is to create a new file and put the holidays definitions on the list of files and update this function to actually return this new locale, and that's it. But then I'll have to recompile anyway, right? Because it's a new file on my project, and I'll have to release a new version. And releasing a new version, it forces users to actually recompile the dependency. So then I just got this idea that I can actually use meta programming to load these definitions at compile time. And then that's what I did basically. It removed a lot of code actually. The only thing that I had to, like, I was not expecting to have to change, but I had to, is this, where is it? There was a way to, there is like this custom functions, it's the name, yeah, this here. There's like the definition rules, right? And there's like custom functions that someone can say, hey, use this custom function to load this date here, because some holidays, they don't happen like every year on the same date, right? They kind of are random, like Easter, for example. So they're not totally random, because then I'll not be able to create a function for that. But anyways, and previously I was returning pretty crazy stuff, like why returning a function that applies to the custom function, while I could actually just return, in the end, I discovered I could actually just return the name of the function, because all the custom functions are defined on this custom functions module. And then here in this custom functions module, I just created this call function. So I just send the function name, and I check if there is any function modifier. I do apply this modifier, but if the rule doesn't have any function modifier, I basically just call the function, passing the attributes, which are the year and the rule. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? So what else? Why I'm saying all that? Basically, yeah, I implemented it. It's doing it on compilation now, so the definitions are loaded on compile time instead of startup, on the system startup, which makes system startup faster. But there's no other benefit. In the way that I actually did it right now, there's really no other benefit from using this. The only benefit is that the definitions are loaded on the code, and when starting up, it's going to be loaded when the code is loaded, right? But I know that I could improve that by actually generating one clause of this get definition for each of the locales available. So basically, I'll be generating multiple defs, like multiple clause function, right? Like this. Let me load the holidefs one here. So what is it? It's the file store. The file is a store. So if you have any other question, just ping me there on chat. Hopefully I'll see your question before going way past on the context of it. But yeah, the idea is that right now, this get definition, I have this definitions thing that's loaded here on compilation, okay. But still, every time someone calls get definition, I do check, hey, this go through this list, like iterate through this list, and get the first locale that's going to match, like the code is going to match the locale that's passed, right? And actually the get locale atom converts the string to existing atom if it's on the locale keys, right? So all this could be written something like this, like get definitions, get definition, English, right? Do, or US actually, because it's the US, and then instead of doing the whole search on the definitions, return the definition itself. But how to do that actually? Because there's still a list. Basically, what I can do is, oops, I get these definitions, I forward to them, at compile time. This note that this is on the def module. It's not inside any function. So this for is going to get executed at compile time, not at runtime. So then I do this basically. I guess it's unquote. I have to do quotes actually, or something like that. I'd never remember it that well, when I have to use quotes, when I don't, you know. But anyways, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. You can discover it right after, right? And then this would just return the definition itself, right? It just basically this way it's going to generate one instance, one clause of get definition that accepts, I guess it's unquote, because I need to get the value from there. But I'm not sure if this unquote is going to work outside of a quote block like this. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna see if it works. And also, as you can see here, we don't compare it just to the definition itself. Here on definitions, actually, it's going to return the definition, how can I say, the definition itself. So it's the code here, but also I want to be able to match by the string. So atom to string or something like that. Anyway, I guess toString is a method on kernel that I maybe can use here. And those are the two variants of getting the given definition, right? So let me just check on IX if toString is a method. Yeah, toString, right? Which gets anything, and it's the example here is a atom, even like it converts the atom to foo. So if someone calls something like hey, holidefs dot definition, right, I didn't start it with mix loaded. All right, let me just exclude this one and put it as a default. Like so, enum find is going to return new if nothing matches, if nothing is found on that list with that function, right? So basically, I just have to implement this last clause that matches everything and returns new in that case. So to keep backwards compatibility, right? And then IEX mix. Right. There was warnings. Variable definition does not exist and it's being expanded to definition. Please use parentheses to remove the ambiguity or change the variable name. All right. I got it. Basically, I'm trying to return the definition, but here what you have is the loaded code from compile time. You have to unquote it. It's kind of hard to explain quote and unquote. Not sure if you guys know what it is, but think of it as this, let me show you. Think of it as this here, oops, as this for code, right? Like, because Here you're writing code. Then you have a value saved somewhere and you want to print that as a string. And then you have other code. Basically, that's what unquote do. Unquote is this here. Oops. Unquote is this, basically. So Roger said, did you know we could have a for outside a function? Elixir is cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like this for here, of course the and Siri just activated. Don't know why. Anyway, get the back to the what was I explaining actually? Ah, right, the for here. I guess it's the amount of stuff that you can call outside of functions is limited, right? Because some stuff you can't do, like maybe I guess you can't have variables and you can set some stuff to variables, like a function, for example. I guess you can't do this. Let me just see if it compiles right now, because then I can show you what I mean. Yeah, no. Oops. Invalid coded expression. Name Colombia. So it's quoting deployments and quoting, I guess. I always forget how to do that. So when you have any doubt of how to do that, you just type Elixir forum. Generating multiple function clauses outside at compile time. Practical limit of multiple function has in one function 100,000. The dynamic bindings. Maybe for outside of a function. I know I learned this stuff on a book called, and it's not here. I learned this stuff on a book called Metaprogramming Elixir. Here. Yeah, quote, def run. I think I do have to unquote, to quote to be able to actually unquote the function here. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's complaining about get locate autumn too. So back to my explaining to Roger that it's not everything that you can use outside of a function. For example, I think you can set, that was a problem I had on my previous pull request. I think you can set a function like this. Right, this, if I try to compile this, it's going to throw something. Yeah, fun was set but never used. Actually, no, you can. So I really don't remember what was the problem that I had, but basically here on this function definition here, inside of this definition load function, one of the attributes was a function like this one. You know, of course, there was something. It's not just a function that returned new. But anyway, this def load function was returning something that it was giving me compile errors, saying that you actually can't do that at compile time. And yeah, I totally suggest that you read this book. Like, this is an amazing book, actually, the Metaprogramming Elixir. And thanks, Aramis, for borrowing me it. And yeah, it's pretty cool what you can do at compile time and actually optimize your code, because right now this is generating like basically as if this function was like 100 clauses, you know, and that will make code execution a lot faster, basically, because you don't have to iterate through all the items on a list. Of course, it's going to iterate through all the definitions, but it's iterating through that is a lot faster than iterating through actual lists at runtime, right? All right, so I guess that's it. Let's try to execute this test then. Oops, here, mix test. Fingers crossed, and it didn't work. Okay. So there were 3 failures. First of them, it didn't find the BR. Let me check. So holidefs .definition .store get definition BR new BR. So there's something wrong with this, which I don't know what it is yet. I think actually, I'm not sure if I need this. Really not sure. Here, let me open the book again. There is one of the chapters, extending Elixir with metaprogramming, the language of macros. It's not a macro thing. Elixir with metaprogramming, advanced compile time code generation. This is generating functions from an external data. Basically, this is what I'm doing. Like, I have a file, or in our case, a list of files. I want to iterate through this list of files and load this function. This is what actually this is doing, right? It's already iterating through those files and loading code, right? But what I want to do is to, I need to load this at compile time and set to this variable, because all definitions should return this. And then here I have to, I can iterate through this list that I have and generate functions for it. I know this is done by this book. Like here, do upcase, all right. It actually says why it's better to use this idea of multiple clauses. All right, string Unicode, the Unicode data. Oh, right, yeah. This is actually using an example from Elixir itself. Now remember, so on the Elixir, oops, I opened a pull request. There's a file called string Unicode, a module string Unicode. Let me see, Unicode here, Unicode actually. So this string Unicode module actually does pretty much the same thing, right? Here it is. So it goes through this cluster, CR plus cluster, LF plus cluster control, which this cluster is loaded as a variable and at compile time here. I actually I don't even have to define this as module functions. I can do this because it's a variable that's going to exist at compile time, and that's it. And the locale keys here, at locale keys, were not even being used anymore. It was being used by another function. So one more thing that I can remove. Right. So what he's doing is going through these lists of stuff, iterating and generating a next frame size, which actually does pretty much the same I'm doing here. Oh, that's the problem probably. It was, let me see. Let's compile it again. All right, so variable definitions is not used. All right, basically because I am using it here. It's all right. All right, compilation error in file store, invalid quote expressions. Please make sure your quote expressions are made of valid AST nodes. If you would like to introduce a value into AST, such as a 4-element tuple or a map, make sure to call macro escape. I think I know what is the problem. I think it's the toString. Let me just, because I'm calling maybe this. This is going to be checker compile time, so cool. Code. Because I'm calling a function inside the unquote, maybe. Oh. I guess, right, still problematic. Let me see the example here. Unquote code point. Code point is there. And here it's kind of unquoting byte size code point. So it should not be the function. What is that? Metaprogramming is a bit confusing in Elixir, but you get used to it with time. I'm just not used to it yet, actually, because you don't have to use that every day, right? So every time I do metaprogramming, it's something like this. I have to kind of rediscover everything and reread stuff from somewhere else. Let me just check if no slow frame. So yeah, cool. 3 viewers. Hey, thank you guys for listening to me. Hopefully I'm not breaking your routine, the routine of your day with random stuff. Anyways, maybe I'm going to get stuck for a while on this problem. If you'd like to introduce a value into AST, such as a 4-element tuple or map, make sure to call macro escape before. I'm not sure what. So invalid code expression, holidefs definition. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, right, this is a value. That's why it's complaining. So the idea is that I actually need to macro escape it. Let me see. Is that it? Or macro escape before it? What? Definitions does not exist. Why? Store 14? Ah, right. Here. Macro.escape. Yeah, that's it. So I have basically this is also something very interesting about Elixir, and not a lot of languages do that. They do have very useful error messages, like this is a compilation error message, and it gives me a lot of data. So basically it says it was an invalid coded expression on this file, right? This is the quoted expression, which is the whole definition. So I kind of knew already it was, I actually, if I read it right, I would knew that it was something in here with the definition, right? Because that's where I was actually trying to use the whole structure on an unquote, because in here I was unquoting only one attribute of this whole thing, which was atom attribute, so it should not be there. So, and this part here was giving me what the problem is, right? This part of the compilation error was giving me what the problem is, and this part here was giving me a hint of how to solve it. This is pretty amazing actually, because like I just had to actually do what they said. like I was just supposed to read this, identify like this is a struct, and a struct is a map. So if I want to input for element tuple or a map, I should call macro escape, right? Why that? Why that? Just explaining. I just remember. For element tuples and maps are the way that the internal are the way that the code is represented at compile time. So this is what AST nodes stands to, abstract syntax tree, and the nodes there, all of them are these 4 element tuples or maps. So basically, if I have a value that is a map, the compiler has no way to actually know, hey, this is an AST node, or it's actually a value that is a map that you want to put there, right? The same applies to 4 element tuples, because then he doesn't actually know what to do to that. So and it actually tries to compile, right? It tries to compile this, and it will not work because it's not an AST node. It's actually the value that I want to unquote, right? So that's why this have to be escaped with this function macro escape.
Não sei o que você quer dizer com sou desse.
All right. These things just I like that this kind of stuff happen, because then I have something to put on these small clips on Twitch, right? It gets pretty funny. And could you hear my wife laughing back there? Like she realized that actually Siri was talking to me during the live. Does that kind of stuff happen to you? Because I do have a hard time to actually trying to activate intentionally Siri. Like, e aí, Siri?
Huh?
All right, then the phone actually does. But sometimes I stay like I have to do it 10 times to activate Siri. Can you hear my wife laughing there? Her laugh is quite contagious. So hopefully this mix test now works, because now we are escaping. Yeah, it worked. Cool. So yeah, this is it for this contribution actually. This is it. And again, let's see. It's pretty straightforward, right? Not too many code. Generating one clause for every single definition. Loaded at compile time. And that's it.